Computer Science 226, lecture number 5. Let's do it. Homework number 3 will be due next Monday. I graded a couple of homeworks. Please, from now on, please format the code properly. Okay, the same way as we did in 190 class. And that's actually what we'll be talking about today as well. Okay. So install Eclipse or use online compiler. I hope by that time you already installed Eclipse. If you have issues, attend tutoring sessions. Don't sign it. They'll send me an email basically saying that you were there. Always email me if you have any questions. Okay, career tips. Usually, I don't really talk about career in 190 because I feel that there are a lot of people who don't belong to computer science major, and they're usually not really interested in hearing things about computer science career, although it can be applicable anywhere. But starting from 226, I usually introduce that, and in my opinion, it's very valuable. And although online, I'm not doing this, but that particular topic which I want to talk about today is super important. Okay, super important. I will not be testing you on that. That's why if you don't feel like you want to know that, please skip ahead. You don't have to watch that. But anyway, today I want to mention a very fundamental, super important topic which nobody talks about. Nobody talks about career in college at all, but this thing is definitely not mentioned by anybody. Okay, so let's say we have two similar situations. Okay, one of them is a professor is giving you an exam. So let's say that's me, I'm giving you Computer Science 226 final exam, and another situation is a company is looking for a Java developer. Okay, so how are you going to approach these two situations? Am I recording? Yes, I am. Okay, so your thoughts. Okay, so on one hand you can say, I know what to expect, right? When you're preparing for the final exam, you know what to expect. When a company is looking for a Java developer and you came for the job interview, you also kind of know what to expect, right? So they read your resume, they know that you would be a good fit, otherwise they would not invite you for the job interview. So you know what they'll be asking. Most likely will be something from what you've been taught, okay? So you kind of know what to expect. Of course, on the exam you know more about that, it's more determined, but still, you kind of know what to expect in both cases, okay? So second thing, another thing you're thinking, okay, so it's very important for my career, right? The final exam, that's going to impact my grade, so I probably better prepare. Over here, right? It's also very important for my career because if I get a job, it's going to improve. I'm going to find a job, right? I will be making money, and it's a good thing, right? So in both cases, again, it's very important for your career. In both cases, you want to succeed, right? Both of those situations are very important for your for your career, for your life. So my question is, what is the fundamental difference between these two situations? There is one huge difference. Huge difference. Okay, so think that for yourself. What would be the biggest difference between the two situations? I'll drink some water. Double wall tumbler, spill resistant lid, double walled, sweat free, fit most cup holders. By the way, I got it from Walmart. It actually keeps the heat so well, like extremely well. It was very cheap and works extremely well. Okay, so I hope you thought about what the answer to this question is, and here's the answer. Fundamental difference, right? Okay, so here's the difference. When we're talking about the college exam, okay, if let's say I have 30 students, if all of them prepare really well, okay, I'll be happy to see that. So what would I do? I would just give them A's to everybody, right? So let's say everybody's answering all the questions absolutely correctly, right? I'm just giving 100 points to everybody. They all leave very happy. They all got A's. They all win, okay? Now, if everybody fails, then everybody fails also. Then I'll probably have to curve it or do something else. But that's also everybody loses, right? In that case. And those two situations are completely impossible when we're talking about a job interview. Okay, when I have 5 people or 10 people or 30 people, let's say I have 12 people, right? Similar to my classroom size. If I have 12 people coming to the job interview, the job is only one. There are not 12 jobs. So if there are 12 people who answer absolutely correctly to all the questions, they don't win. Not all of them win. Only one person wins. And that's why I have to select somebody. If everybody answers all the questions absolutely correctly, I have to ask somebody somehow. I have to select. I have to choose somebody somehow, right? So, again, imagine that you saw 12 people. They kind of have different personalities, but they all answered all the questions like exactly the same way, right? Because usually what happens is that when you come to a job interview, I have a kind of spreadsheet, or I have like the notes, and I'm taking notes like question number 1, okay, correct. Question number 2, tick. Question number 2, the 3, cross, right? So answered, not answered, and maybe some notes. That's pretty much it. And once you left, like 5 minutes later, I already forgot about you. All I have about you is that like spreadsheet or like piece of paper. And then by the end of the day, when I interviewed 10 people, I have to make a decision, right? And it's just based on that, on what I wrote there. That's it. That's it. So the point is, in a job interview situation, answering questions correctly is not enough, unfortunately. That's not what's being looked for. What's needed is that you would perform better than everybody else, than the rest of your competition. So, for example, if I made a mistake and I answered all the questions, if I made a mistake and I prepared the questions which are super difficult for you, extremely difficult, like insanely difficult, and then I invite, I don't know, 10 people, all of them fail, right? I still need to choose somebody. Right, so that's kind of my fault, my mistake, my bad. But I still need to choose someone who I would work with, okay? Because again, if you are the job interview, face-to-face interview, that means kind of it's already half of the sale. You can be a very good candidate. That usually means that based on what you wrote in the resume, a person who talks to you thinks that you would do the work, okay? That means again, he already wants you to work there. He just wants to make sure that you didn't lie in your resume, and maybe a couple of more details. But that's already a lot. Hope it makes sense. Okay. So the difference is that if all students answer all the questions correctly, they all receive A's and they all succeed. But if a company needs only one Java developer and all applicants answer correctly, managers still have to decide who to choose, judging by some minor and subjective things. And that actually happens a lot. That I can't really tell you. I mean, it happens all the time. Of course, not with 10 people, but usually, I don't know, if we're looking for a Java developer, there are 10 people who came to the interview, 5 of them are lied like on the resume, they go away immediately, then the other 5 are good, then 3 of them are not that much qualified, but there are 2 people who are exactly the same. So like you talk to one of them yesterday, you talk to the other one like the day before yesterday, you don't remember anything about them, you just have the spreadsheet and that's it, okay? That's all you remember. And the question is, how do they choose in that case, right? When 2 people are exactly the same. Well, they have exactly the same knowledge, okay? And they barely remember who they were. Like, is that guy with like a black beard, or is like the girl with the blonde hair? Yeah. So usually in that case, what happens is that if they remember those people who they talk to, then in that case, usually they don't even understand how they choose. Okay, they will choose somebody, like randomly choose a person who they would have fun working with, probably. He kind of showed something, I don't know, he was interested in basketball and I was interested in basketball. It's very subjective. It's something, something which they don't understand sometimes. It's like a super subjective thing, like when, again, it's a sales process, okay? So, why am I telling all of this? Why am I telling this? Unfortunately, unlike in college, answering questions correctly on the job interview is not enough. What you need to do if you want to succeed, and it's very important, after each job interview, what you need to do, you need to write out all the questions you've been asked. You need to think about how you answered. You need to think about their reaction, how they reacted to that question, right? So like, did they seem satisfied or not? And you need to think about the way to improve it. Because again, one of the other examples, imagine that, I don't know, I invite in the entire class for the job interview, right? So I interview them one by one, and I'm going to ask only one question, like write the Hello World program, okay? And that's it. So all of them write the Hello World program correctly, and that's pretty much what I need. I needed like, I don't know, very low level, low skill Java developer. So who do I hire, right? So like the 12 people came, they all qualified. Very difficult decision, right? So unless you stand out somehow, unless you like kind of give more information than needed, unless you give kind of, I don't know, like I'm asking you to, like, I don't know, to give me one algorithm, you give me 3 or 2 or something like this. Or again, unless you showcase your knowledge, even if I'm not asking, you kind of losing that chance. You become like everybody else. Okay, hope it makes sense. I don't think I'm explaining that well, but anyway. So answering questions just correctly is not enough, because everybody else will be answering exactly the same way. They'll also be answering exactly the same questions exactly the same way, because they read the same books and they went to the same schools, and they took the same classes. Okay. Yeah, that's why it's not enough. You need to stand out. And that's why, again, after each interview, write out all the questions you were asked. Try to think about how you can answer them better, and next time answer them better, okay? Such that he will be impressed. And usually, like when you ask the question, for example, tell about yourself, or I don't know, how do you, what is a method, what is a class, how do you do binary search, for example, how do you do binary search, okay? And then like if you tell them something which is very unusual to them, and you show them different perspective, or you give them a couple of like variants of that, and you can say like, I can do that algorithm, that algorithm, and they go like, wow, that's very cool. Especially if it happens face to face, then it's like, click, mission accomplished, you stand out, perfect. Okay, so that's a huge sign for you. Okay, although they ask you like what is binary search, but instead you gave them like, I don't know, 5 algorithms, and they're all like very cool. So one of them is default, and everybody else gave only 1 algorithm, but you gave 4 more, and they're like, wow, that's a very smart person. That's pretty cool. Very nice. Thank you so much. Okay, so be creative with that. And then again, when they say like, wow, that's nice, thank you so much, we never had anybody saying that, it's a click for you that you got some additional points, and that's what you will also write out, and then you would say, okay, perfect, I answered the question, absolutely amazing, very nice. After 10 interviews, statistically, okay, so most likely, again, with our students, we don't see that, we don't see them going through a huge amount of interviews, they get a job quicker. But even if you do, even if you go to somewhere else, statistically, after 10 interviews, 90% of the questions repeat. There is not that much you can be asked, especially at the low level. Again, after 10 interviews, 90% of the questions repeat. That's why if you master those 90% of the questions, of course they'll surprise you with some like unusual question. I remember I was at the interview and I was asked like, now it was a friend, he was asked, if you were a tree, what kind of tree would you be? And a willow tree, because it's just so flexible, I guess. Yeah, so that's very unusual. I don't know like what the expectation is, but the majority of the questions for the Java, for software developer position, are exactly the same. 90% of them will be exactly the same. And if you go interview, you see that they're asking me exactly the same questions. And actually, by the way, that's also one of them things I saw among students at UC. For example, who said that? Anyway, there was a student, he was like, I'm going to an interview, interview after an interview, huge amount of interviews, no job offer, okay? Like no offers. Why? That's why. Yeah, and he may say like, answer all the questions correctly, right? I don't understand like why I'm not getting a job. Well, I just explained. Because just answering the questions correctly is not enough. You need to be better than everybody else. Yeah, because if everybody is exactly the same, like, I don't know, 10 people answered all questions exactly the same, right? And there is nothing about them which stands out, then it's like 1 out of 10 chance, 10% chance. I would randomly like pick somebody because all of them are qualified. Like, I mean, I don't know, I don't care like who to choose because all of them are the same, right? And all of them are qualified, right? Yeah, so what would I do? I just pick him, like, for some reason, I don't know why. And sometimes subconsciously try to explain to myself why I did that, but it can be completely random. Anyway, hope it makes sense, hope it helps you. Moving on, multi-dimensional array. Yeah, today will be a very, very short lecture. So I hope you did this. I hope you did that. Okay, we'll talk about this. Now, here's what I want you to do. Normally in this lecture we practice a lot. That's what I want you to do as well. I want you to practice two-dimensional arrays with for loops. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to write the code. I want you to create two 5x5 matrices. Okay, 5x5. I want you to fill them out randomly with zeros and ones, doubles. Okay, I want you to print them out, each one of them, like in a nice way, with that, with going to a new line after each row. Okay, and here's what I want you to do. I want you to multiply them. Okay. Now, how do you add matrices? You have a matrix 5x5, another one 5x5. Okay, you just like add corresponding elements with each other. So like, I don't know, 0, 0, the element with the coordinate 0, 0, you add with the element exactly in the same place. Also 0, 0, add them, right? And you just put the final number in the final array. With multiplication, it works completely different way. Honestly, I'm honestly surprised that it's taught to you guys that late, because when I was like in the 9th grade, I knew how to multiply matrices. I was taught that very early. So matrix multiplication, Java. Oh, sorry, matrix is fun. Okay, so if you go to this website, matrix is math is fun, not matrix. If you go to this website, it explains how to multiply matrices really well, really nice. Okay, so check this out. If I have two matrices, okay, in this case it's 2 by 3 and 3 by 2. Okay, there are some special rules, but if you create matrices 5x5, you'll definitely be good. Okay, so here's how it works. If you want to, and that's the final matrix. So the final matrix in your case will be 5x5. In this case, it will be 2 by 2. Okay, that's just because of the internal math. Anyway, so if I want to create an element of the final matrix with the coordinate 0, 0, okay, like this 58, I need to multiply 0th row of the first matrix by the 0th column of the second matrix. And I need to multiply them element by element. So 1 times 7 plus 2 times 9 plus 3 by 11. Okay, so kind of a dot product. 1 times 7, 2 times 9, 3 times 11 equals 58. Okay, cool, hope it makes sense. Now let's say we're moving over here. So what is it, 0, 1, right? So in order to get this number, I need to multiply the 0th row of this matrix by the first column of this matrix. So it's going to be 1 by 8, 2 by 10, 3 by 12. It's going to be over here. Over here, I want to multiply, 1, 0, right? So first row, this row, by the 0th column, this column. So it's 4 by 7, 5 by 9, 6 by 11, add them together. And in order to get this guy over here, I need to multiply, it's 1, 1, right? So first row, first column, 4 by 8 plus 5 by 10 plus 6 by 12, okay? And I'll get this number over here. Yeah, so I want you to do that in Java, okay? And as a hint, right? So what do you need to do? Okay, so if you add two matrices together to each other, right? You're gonna have, not multiply, but add, right? You're gonna have two for loops, okay? And inside of the innermost for loop, you'll be calculating this element, right? But here, in order to calculate one element, we don't really just add two numbers. We do this thing when we just traverse this at the same time, and then multiply them by each other, and then adding them together, okay? So that sounds like another for loop with like if the first was with I, second one was with J, and this one will be with K. Okay. And here's like approximately what you're gonna need to do, kind of as a hint. So 4, okay, the 4, and then 4. So let's say I is equal to 0, I is less than something, I plus plus. Then same thing, J equals to 0, J is less than something, J plus plus. Okay, so let's say I will be, what would that be? Raw, right? I would represent rows, J would represent columns, and then there will be some kind of K. K is less than something, K plus plus, okay? And then what would K mean, and why do we need that? We're going to need K to traverse a row and a column. A row of the first matrix and the column of the second matrix. Because again, you see it's kind of like a repetitive action. Multiply something by something, plus multiply something by something, plus multiply something by something. Okay? So that's what you need to do. And then the most important thing is to figure out the indices. That's the most difficult thing. So M1, hold on, what would I say that? Let's say sum is equal to 0. Okay, now sum plus equals, right? Plus equals because we start with we start with 0, like here, instead of 58. At the beginning it's 0, and then we add 1 times 7, and then in the next iteration of the innermost loop we add 2 times 9, and then in the next iteration we add 3 and 11, 3 times 11. Okay, so it's going to look like sum plus equals M1, so first matrix, something something, okay, figure that out, times M2 something something. Yeah, that's it. Okay, and then M3, or like the final array matrix, something something is going to be plus equals sum. Perfect. Yeah. Yes. So that's kind of the core. Okay, so whoever sends that to me, I'm gonna check that quickly, and I'm gonna give you 0.5% of extra credit. Okay, normally I would make you do that in class, but there is no class. Classroom. Okay, print out the result. Okay, also in a nice form, nice way. Okay, so please do that. Please do that by the end of the day, kind of as a lecture. So instead of submitting lecture notes, please submit the code for this program. Yeah, if you don't submit, it's fine, totally cool. Will not be deducting any points. Okay, extra credit. No, don't do that. Just send me an email. Otherwise it'll be difficult to manage that. Just send me an email. Okay, that's it for today. Next lecture we'll start talking about something else, something different. Will be more abstract knowledge. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.